You've likely heard of the International Space Station and are vaguely aware of its goings-ons. You probably watch or hear about launches on the news regarding SpaceX, but you likely haven't dug into the details of who is going up there, or rather, what is. On June 5th, 2021, the SpaceX cargo ship Dragon was scheduled to dock at the ISS and deliver contracted supplies. With the supplies, they also carried on board experiments that were to take place on board the ISS's lab, Harmony. These experiments included symbiotic squid and microbes, as well as tardigrades. Dragon was autonomous, so the astronauts on board the ISS were assisted with machines to unload the cargo. It was all pretty standard stuff, and nothing really happened until the 20th of June. I don't know what triggered the events to happen, but now I'm stuck in space with what's left of the crew, with the killing monster on board. I'm not one of the astronauts working on the experiments, and I won't reveal too much for fear of breaching NDA. But I do need to get this out there before the scheduled departure from the ISS of Dragon on July 5th. We've already tried to tell those on Earth about what's happening, but they think we have lost our minds and have insisted that our replacements will be coming next month to relieve us. It's just me and one of the scientists left. I'll call him Ronald, and you can call me John. I have the diary logs from the deceased crew with me. I'll publish them on here, along with my testimony. Crewmate Ronald's log, 8th of June, 2021.
3 days ago, Dragon docked. We were able to successfully unload the cargo with machine assistance. The squid and microbes for Project Umami have been delivered to my workstation on Harmony. I began work on Project Umami 48 hours ago. Progress is going as expected. Tomorrow, I will introduce the squid to Microbe Alpha. If all goes as planned, we should begin to see symbiosis between the host and bacteria. Umami's purpose is to determine the role gravity plays in shaping the interactions between beneficial microbes and their animal hosts. The microbes play a healthy, significant role for the host's development on Earth. If the relationship maintains stable, we should be able to develop measures to preserve astronaut health and applications for use on Earth. I will update tomorrow.
End of entry. Crewmate Ronald's log, 12th of June, 2021.
The host and bacteria are healthy and interacting well. As far as can be observed, development is progressing at an enhanced rate than on Earth.
End of entry. Crewmate Anna's log, 16th of June, 2021.
I was dispatched to Harmony today. The screen reports for the environment told me everything was normal and operational for the lab. But Ronald insisted he was hearing a hissing and smelling something off. I ran diagnostics for Harmony and confirmed the health of the environment. I manually reviewed the valves, pumps, and machineries for leaks, but could not identify any. I used one of the handheld sensors that did come back with a different reading for nitrogen oxide. However, the number seemed insignificant and was at a variable less than 10. I called John for assistance in finding the source of the smell. He was able to identify a ration tray Ronald had left on his desk. John reviewed with Ronald the rules of the house, which included no eating outside the kitchen.
End of entry. Crewmate John's log, 16th of June, 2021.
Fucking Ronald and his messes, man. He let some food sour in Harmony and called Anna insisting that something was wrong because he smelled something funky and claimed he was hearing a hissing. Anna looked everywhere and only found some moldy food Ronald left on his desk. Of course, the thing was just covered in patches of fuzzy mold. I went over with him again the rules and had the idiot clean up his mess.
End of entry. Crewmate Ronald's log, 19th of June, 2021.
Umami is dead. They were thriving fine yesterday, better than expected even. But today I woke up, and they were all dead. I will be disposing of them after an autopsy and testing. Currently, I have no hypothesis on what occurred.
End of entry. Crewmate Anna's log, 20th of June, 2021.
I'm not feeling good today. It started with a headache last night. Everything feels fuzzy in my head. I think I'm running a fever. I feel so cold.
End of entry. I was with Ronald, Marie, and Karl eating dinner when I first noticed I hadn't seen Anna all day. Usually, I would see her up and around, checking on things, always seeming to be fixing something. But today, I hadn't bumped into her once. Unusual, given our cramped living space. "Where's Anna?" I asked to no one in particular. Both Ronald and Karl shrugged their shoulders. Apparently, neither of them had seen her either. "Karl," I said, pointing my fork at him. "Go check on Anna." Karl was a burly man and was having a fling with Anna. I wasn't meant to know this, of course. He flushed red at my request, but merely stood up and went to do as he was told. It was true, I could have done it and arguably should have, but prodding at the two of them was what little fun I had up here. Several minutes passed in silence between Marie, Ronald, and I as we continued to eat. The silence was broken with a roar from Karl. Marie and I were both immediately on our feet. The response was automatic. "Get up and go help." I reached the sleeping quarters before Marie did. What I saw caused vomit to come up my throat. Karl was splayed on the metallic floor. Intestines hanging out from his fat belly and spilling across the floor. The smell of spilled intestines was like walking into a gas station bathroom where shit had left to ferment for a day. Combined with the metallic smell of blood, the mixture overwhelmed the small sleeping space and caused me to lose my dinner all over the floor. "Oh, what the fuck?" I could hear Marie beginning to ask from behind me. She stopped short a few feet, her eyes widening at the gruesome mess before her. She raised a hand to her mouth in shock. Then, to cover the stench, her eyes watered. "Oh my God," she breathed out. I forced myself to Karl's body, staggering though. My stomach churned painfully and the taste of vomit stung at my mouth. Kneeling, I examined the wound. It looked animalistic, the way his stomach had been torn open. The edges patchy and jagged, as if ripped apart with something dull. My eyes trailed the wound, settling on something pink and white. I began to reach for it, but stopped abruptly. It was a nail. I began to say, gagging. I think Anna might have. "No," Marie forcefully interjected. Then she scoured the space with her eyes, looking for the missing crewmate. She was unable to find her. "There's no way a human could do this. The strength. God, John." But I knew it. I knew from having heard Karl scream, from not having seen Anna all day, from seeing the nail embedded in Karl's flesh, used like knives to split him open. "John?" Marie said, interrupting me from my thoughts. "Where the hell is Anna?" That had been 6 hours ago. We had spent several searching for Anna, but in spite of our efforts, we came up short. Since then, Marie, Ronald, and I locked ourselves in harmony. "Check her logs," Ronald demanded for the third time. "No," Marie insisted. "It's a breach of her privacy. John, you can't." But I could. And Ronald was right. I loved Anna like a sister, but there wasn't anything in her diary entries that wouldn't be read and analyzed over by the base anyway. There was a reason I had access to check the diary entries. "Marie," I began calmly. "I'm going to check her logs. It's important to determine her mindset. If she did do that to Karl, which was most likely the case, then it's imperative we know where her mind is." Marie was red in the face, arms crossed over her chest. But as I began to pull the locks up on my tablet, she didn't argue. Ronald leaned over my shoulder, watching, his breath hot on my neck. Crewmate Anna's log, 20th of June, 2021. Entry 2.
It's now noon. I feel worse than I did last night. Everything is blurry. Everything smells terrible. I can't eat. I can't drink.
Entry 3.
I can't think. I write.
Entry 4.
I'm scared. Thoughts, not mine in head. Heart. Breathe.
Entry 5.
Danger. Everywhere.
End of entry. The three of us were silent as we digested the logs. I could see the hard look on Marie's face soften, as if she were coming to terms with what was happening. What? She started, but was unable to find the words to finish. Ronald turned away from the screen, a hand meeting his chin to thoughtfully stroke it. So, she lost her mind, Ronald concluded. For a scientist, you sure have a way with words, I found myself saying bitingly. We need to report this to base. And so we did. Base was not helpful though.
Find her, sedate her, isolate her.
That's what they told us to do. They could have a replacement here next month. The instructions were clear, but it seemed difficult, as we had already searched everywhere for her. The forceful pounding was loud against the closed hatch. It caused all three of us to jump. The tension in the air became palpable. I was the first to the hatch. I pressed my ear against it, listening closely. Heavy breathing sounds came from the other side, followed by another series of heavy bangs on the hatch door. My eyes went to Marie. I nodded my head toward a fire extinguisher. She gave me a knowing look before slipping to grab it from the wall. While she went for that, Ronald handed me a long metal pole. A knot in my throat grew as I took it from him. I didn't want to hurt Anna, but she had killed Karl. This was for the best, I told myself. I waved Ronald and Marie to the other side of the room, pressing my back against the side of the hatch's entrance. I pressed the pad to open the hatch. There was a whirring, followed by the hatch doors opening. I expected petite Anna to come into the lab. I expected her hair pulled back, straight composure, hard-lined face to enter. Instead, a terror came into the lab. Shit has hit the fan since my last update. The clock is still ticking down. Closer to each day, the dragon detaches itself and returns home to Earth. This isn't like the movies. We have no magical solution to stopping its deployment. There's no kill switch. The cargo ship is automated, and those that program that automation are on Earth and don't believe us. I last left you with Anna banging on the doors. When I had pressed the pad to open Harmony's doors, all my will to fight and restrain her left my bones. I was expecting beautiful, strong Anna. Instead, the thing that greeted us on the other side only resembled her in frame. The majority of her skin was either covered in yellow and green glowing pustules or boiled to the surface in bloated, shining red blisters. Where her skin had been remained deposits of fat and muscles, crusted in pus and black fuzz. The skin had peeled away from her jaw and teeth, her upper lip only connected to her lower jaw by a stretched piece of crusty flesh. Her nails, once pink and white, were now hardened and yellowed like husks of corn. The smell was like a fish market that had lost refrigeration and had been left to sit. Marie lost her stomach behind me. Ronald audibly gagged. Anna! I started in surprise. But this was no Anna. Anna had been vibrant with life. The thing that had taken her body was grotesque, a mockery of her form. A hissing sound mixed with a gurgle escaped from her throat. Saliva and blood splayed from her gaping mouth. I stepped back to keep from being hit with it. She was fast. Her spoiled limbs drove her forward and launched her towards my form. I was frozen to my place, too shocked to react. I could hear Marie curse, and then, in a flash, she had taken the pole from my hand and had brought it down against Anna's knees. She staggered, then fell, reaching her hardened yellow nails out as she went. Her nails found Marie's arm, forcing her to the floor with her. Anna and Marie landed on the ground in a mix of limbs. "Fuck!" I shouted, finally snapping out of my shock. "Marie!" I grabbed her by the back of her shirt's collar and attempted to pull her away. But Anna had a death grip on her neck. She was hissing and spraying her saliva blood mix all over Marie. From out of the corner, I saw Ronald grab the fire extinguisher. Before I could stop him for fear he would hit Marie, he swung the fire extinguisher down and smashed. Marie screamed. Anna had moved her body in time and the fire extinguisher came down on her leg. "Fuck, Ronald!" I yelled, leaping forward and grabbing the fire extinguisher from his stunned hands. His mouth was moving, as if trying to explain. Anna was moving again, this time hitting for Ronald. I didn't hesitate this time. I took a breath, then brought it down on Anna's head. I wasn't expecting the sound of the crunch, like that of a watermelon bursting on the ground. She stopped moving, body dropping between Ronald and I. That had been an hour ago. Since then, we had moved Marie to the medical wing, cleaning the cut and scratches on the neck and compressing her swollen leg with bandages. What the fuck was that? I demanded to Ronald as soon as Marie was breathing easier with the medicine we had given her. She was relaxed on the bed, head lolling but eyes razor sharp on us. Ronald looked startled at me. How the fuck should I know? Because Marie's voice was trembling and slurred. That shit all over her looked exactly like the squid you disposed of. Shocked, I looked between the two of them. I hadn't heard anything about the squid since Ronald told me days ago that they had died. I hadn't seen them either. When he reported to me, he made it seem so normal. "I saw you," Marie continued to slur. "I saw that look on your face. Terror. What were you fucking with?" Ronald stammered. It wasn't me. The bacteria live with the squid on Earth. They benefit from each other. We were studying the effect gravity had on their relationship." "Bullshit." Marie was feisty, but her eyes were looking dimmer. "That..." Ronald trailed off breathlessly. He had a defeated look on his face. "That was what we told the public." "Ronald?" I asked, now even more confused. My heart was beginning to pick up speed. What was really going on? Ronald started again. But he cut himself off abruptly by moving forward quickly to Marie. Her head had lowered all the way back, eyes closed. "Shit, get out of the room," he said frantically, ushering me out. I had time to see the cuts on Marie's neck, leaking yellow, puffing up in red boils. Ronald shut the door, leaving the hard plexiglass between us and Marie. "What the fuck?" The words tumbled out of my mouth before I could stop them. "I wasn't entirely honest," Ronald said quickly. "My journals. Take a look at my journals." "Just fucking tell me what's happening," I demanded in retort. "I don't have time. We don't have time. We need to tell base." Ronald was already turning away from the door, rushing off the gods nowhere. I took a look back at Marie. The ooze was spreading from the cuts on her neck to her jaw and down to her chest. Where the skin boiled, it began to retract, as if being eaten away right before my eyes. She began to moan, at first softly, and then Marie screamed on the other side of the glass. My eyes grew wide, and my hands flew to the door. "Help!" Marie cried out, her hands going to her neck. She was sitting up now, her yellowed nail scratching desperately at her neck. She tore at it, tearing pieces of flesh and crust away from her body. Blood sprang forward from her neck. She kept digging. "Marie!" I yelled, grabbing the door handle. I attempted to push down on it. but was met with an opposing force of a lock. What the fuck? I started, jiggling the handle again. Ronald! He must have locked the door when he ushered us out. I looked behind me, looking for him, but he was already gone. Help! Marie continued to shriek. Her eyes went back to the window. The bed, wall and floor were now splattered with blood and yellow ooze. Her movements were drunken now, slowed and in less of a panic. Her movements grew weaker, slower. The blood slowed and is trickling from her neck. Her hands dropped. Her head slacked. Mouth dropped open. Eyes staring out. My hand dropped from the floor. Anna was dead. Karl was dead. Now, Marie was dead. And for whatever reason, it was all Ronald's fault. I found him at my station, frantically speaking with bass.
Alright, it's obvious that your whole crew needs to come back to Earth.
I could hear Jeremy's voice as I stepped into the room.
You've been up there for 3 years. It's not uncommon to see astronaut psychiatry to become impacted after so long. It sounds like it started with Anne and sort of spread to the rest of you. It's fine, Ronald. Stick it out for a month. You'll be home soon.
Wait! I called out, sensing the call. I quickly found my way beside Ronald.
John.
Jeremy sighed deeply.
We read Anne's entries. This is happening. Try not to deteriorate while we prep here.
Marie is dead now too. I barked at him. There was a pause from Jeremy. I took advantage of it. Anne killed Karl. Then she attacked us and messed up Marie. Marie clawed her own neck out. She's dead.
Okay,
Jeremy said after a long pause.
I need you, John, to take the night. Get some sleep. Then call me again in the morning when you're calm.
He didn't believe me. He thought I was losing it too. We have proof, I said quickly. I'll show you.
John.
Jeremy's voice was stern.
Call me in the morning.
And then he ended the call. I looked at Ronald in disbelief. He opened his mouth to say something, but when he did so, a flood of blood and pus came flowing from his mouth. It ran down his chin and dropped to the floor. He looked at the mess, then looked at me. I must have, he gurgled, slowly backing away. When she was spitting, he was whispering now, sounding breathless. He dropped to his knees, eyes wide. Got it in my mouth. John, he pointed up at me. I brought a hand to my face, feeling a trickle from my nose. When I looked at it, I saw blood. It was a slow, warm trickle. We have to. Ronald was raising from his knees now. He didn't finish what he was saying, merely started walking quickly away. I quickly followed after him, demanding where he was going. He didn't respond, just kept moving. Soon enough, we were back in the medical wing. He was going through the fridge, throwing things, pushing things. At last, he pulled away, files in hand. What is that? I demanded, now feeling lightheaded. What the fuck are you doing? He was rummaging through drawers now. He finally found what he was looking for, unwrapping them and then turning to me. It's the easy way, Ronald said breathlessly. It will be quick, painless. Ronald's body lay in the sleeping quarters. He told me we had a few hours to live by his calculations before being reduced to monstrosities like Anna. He wanted to die, sleeping in his quarters, surrounded by pictures of his family back on Earth. I didn't want to persuade him otherwise. I wished him an easy passing, knowing that I would endure more pain as I set out to do what I could before my time ended. The syringe and its needle rest in my pocket, ready and willing for when I deemed it time. I left Ronald in the sleeping quarters, along with Karl's body. It wouldn't be long before I joined them. I went to my station, sat, and pulled up Ronald's logs. Crewmate Ronald's log, June 19th, 2021. Entry 2.
I've reviewed the subjects of Umami further. The squid are deceased, but their bacteria is thriving. On closer inspection, it appears that the squid attacked and killed each other in a frenzy. Upon autopsy, I found growths all along the nerve ring in the cartilaginous cranium. Following its growth path, I traced it along the nerves. When reviewing the growths, I discovered they were comprised of the Umami bacteria. I can't say what caused the evolution of this relationship, but I hypothesize the difference in gravity and the increased nitrogen levels Anna had previously detected. I will be having Anna properly dispose of the subjects.
End of log. There was another log entry after this. I was surprised at the date of the entry. Crewmate Ronald's log, June 26, 2021.
Fuck, oh god, Anna's dead, and it's all my fault. Her behavior, how she killed Karl. I'm certain that it's the bacteria. I didn't think it would be able to infect humans. There was no indicator that it could hop like that. But if I had known, we could have handled it differently, taken different measures, worn better PPE. I think Harmony and Dragon are compromised. There's a good chance the whole ISS is. The bacteria easily could have spread through the recirculated air. I haven't told John, but I don't think there will be any survivors. I'm writing this now, as he watches Marie in quarantine. My nose is bleeding. Fuck. John, if you read this, there's only one thing you can do. You need to flush the station. We're all dead anyway. Flushing the station will remove what the bacteria needs to thrive.
End of log. I blinked hard at his last words. I could feel the syringe in my back pocket. It would be so easy to take the needle, inject its contents, and die peacefully. Instead, Ronald was telling me I needed to vent the station. My mouth felt dry. I knew as soon as I did so, I would begin to suffocate. That was a much harsher death than the syringe. But if I didn't, and Dragon departed, then this bacteria would still live. I knew what I was going to do, so I set out to doing it. I went to the valves, I removed the tanks, I opened the filters, and now I'm sitting here, typing this all up. Every breath is getting harder. The words I can write are fewer. Whatever. You're just going to have to take it as is. The entire crew is dead. I've sent messages to base, containing copies of the log entries and pictures of the bodies. I explained what I did and why. No word back. I'm dying as I come into this world, alone